All right, I think that is enough time. Why don't we get started? Perfect. There is that. And oh boy, I need to do a little bit of ranging around. Come on. There we go. Sometimes technology isn't always friendly, to say the least. But it always works out in the end, to some degree. But anywho, welcome to the stream, to the VOD, and I realize that I'm a little cut off for some reason. You guys don't see that. But welcome to the show, welcome to the stream. Today is going to be a wonderful, wonderful day because we have a wonderful guest. Because this is the VOD, VTubers on Demand, because size doesn't matter. Gosh, I love that tagline. I love it so much because it just it makes you giggle. It makes you feel happy when you just hear like you return to being a child again. Just hear something so small, so trivial. But I digress. You know, last stream was fun. We played some Phasmo. We had some fun playing with the Phantom Fame and our friend Marie, Spider Marie, I believe. But today is such a wonderful, wonderful stream because, like I said, today is the VOD, tomorrow is the VOD, and we have two wonderful guests lined up. But as for today, we have a guest, and her name is Miridae the Giraffe. And it's kind of interesting when you think about how many people there are who are VTubers, who are streamers, and just how unique not only their designs are, but just them as individuals. And so even though this is the second show, this is the second episode, it makes me incredibly happy to be able to see and meet such unique and wonderful people, because I take a little bit of time each week now, and I'm doing this since I started it last week. I did it this week, I'm gonna do it next week, and so on and so forth, as long as I continue this, you know, taking special time to really watch, support, research, and just overall see who this person is. That way I can be absorbed in their content and really understand, relate, and feel with what they're doing and, you know, how they're streaming. Because at the end of the day, you know, they are people too. And so they have a story to share, and they have things that are just really, really awesome, unique, and important. So yeah, I'm bad at words sometimes, but you know who's not bad at words? Our guest today. So why don't we get into that? And yeah, so I'd like to introduce our first guest of the day, and our only guest of the day, Miridae the Giraffe. Miridae, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
Are you okay?
I'm so sorry. No, the way the green screen affected me.
Yes, I know. I'm figuring it out. I'm so sorry. It's like I said, technology. I kind of have to brace people for it. Oh, there was that.
Great.
Moving things around. This is not a perfect stream, guys, but guess what? It's the best stream because it has so much heart and so much love. So please bear with the technological things. It is a work in progress. But yes, hopefully that music's not too loud. It's playing directly in my ears, so no matter what, I'll be able to hear it. So I'm still gonna try and figure that out. But I could see. I'll fix it. I will fix it. We're focusing too much on the eyes.
No, I'm also trying to make it so I'm actually facing you. So give me a moment.
Take your time. Take your
Okay.
time.
Okay, I am Miridae the Giraffe. I usually have green eyes, and my hair isn't usually see-through. But I like to try to have a good time on my stream, and I'm already having a great time here, so I can't complain.
Yeah, it's technology has made this introduction so much fun. But welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so excited to have you. As you know, this is such a big production where we have so many people, sponsors, companies, and all that. We're bigger than the Tonight Show, so we have so much professionalism here. But yeah, welcome. Like, all things considered, welcome. I need to... Where is that? There. I lost my notes. There's my notes. Perfect. So the first question I want to ask you is, who are you? What is your story so we can know who you are?
I am Miridae the Giraffe, as I said. I was, let's see, lore-wise, I want to find and meet as many people as I can so I can hold them all hostage in my zoo forever and ever.
Oh, I think I remember that in your your re-debut.
I discovered the game of Pokemon as a young little giraffe, and I love the idea of just capturing animals and having them with you forever. And I was like, you know what? I should do that with people. And I decided I'm gonna make my own zoo, and I'm gonna put everybody who I really like into it.
Oh my goodness. So that begs the question, what is this zoo like? Because like I've been to 2 zoos. One of them was in California. Like when I've taken a trip to San Diego. The San Diego Zoo is kind of famous for just a lot of its unique animals from all over the world, like pandas. I don't know if they have any giraffes, but I know like pandas are one of the big things that the San Diego Zoo has. So what separates your zoo from, say, something like that?
My zoo has people with animal features, kind of like you.
Okay. Anything else other than people with animal features like me?
Also have 4 cats and a dog and a hermit crab. But those usually aren't things that you see in a zoo. Those are just things I have in my house, which is currently my makeshift zoo because I don't actually have any property for it. So don't worry about the basement though.
Oh, I see. See, I used to have cats, and like they were 2 incredible cats. Like we aptly they were, when we got them, they were, I think one was a gray short hair and the other was just a gray long hair. They were tabby, I think tabby cats. But they were like brothers because they were from the same litter, and I guess they were given the name Bob and Doug, just named after the SpaceX astronauts when we got them. But they're just so rambunctious. They were just adorable little cats that would climb up everywhere. Like when I first got them, I had a nice office chair that when I took them into my room, the first thing they did, they wanted to use a scratching post.
As kittens do, yeah.
Yeah, but like, what are those kittens like for you? Or those cats?
I only have 1 kitten right now, and she is very food motivated. So when I have food, she's always like, "Oh, hello, I'd like some of your food, please." Other than that, my cats are usually pretty chill. But she likes to ruin everything. Like she laid on my keyboard the other day when I was streaming Dark Souls and broke everything, so my controller didn't work, and I had to completely reboot everything. What? I don't know what she did, but she fucked it up.
Oh, geez. What part of Dark Souls are you in? Because I know you're playing the first Dark Souls, right?
Mm-hmm.
What part are you in?
I just killed Kalog, whatever the spider lady's name was the Great Chest.
Oh. If saying consolation, I've never played Dark Souls 1, but I know some of the characters. So hopefully people who are here watching, they can know who that is. But like, I've played Dark Souls 3. That was my introduction to the series, as for a lot of people. Like when I first started playing From Software games, I got into Bloodborne.
Yeah, when I very first started streaming years and years ago, I tried with Bloodborne and that did not go very well. And then I was like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. And then years later, I discovered VTubing, and here we are.
Do you plan on playing any more of the Dark Souls series?
Yes, once I finish the first one, I'm gonna go through the second and third. I've already beaten Elden Ring, so I've got that out of the way.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness. See, I don't have Elden Ring. That's on the list, but like that presents a question. Because I love hearing people's answers for this. Is how do you feel about how open and expansive the world is of Elden Ring? Because looking at it looks so scary and daunting.
Well, so for me, usually when I start playing games, I kind of set myself my own personal goal. For me, Elden Ring was to explore 100% of the map. So with that goal in mind, I didn't really pay attention to like any story or anything, and I was just like, I just need to get all of the map uncovered. So I ended up fighting Millennia, whatever the fuck her name is, and I ended up doing everything just because I needed to get the whole map explored. And that made it a lot more easier for me to handle because it's like bite-sized goals. Okay, I need to get to this spot to get that part of the map.
Oh.
And that spot.
See, I feel like we're kind of similar in that regard because, and I get teased by my friends about this, especially my best friend about it, is when I play games that are open world like that, I don't do the story like immediately. I typically spend most of the time just unlocking all the areas so I can see everything.
Mm-hmm. I call myself a map completionist, not a game completionist.
That is a perfect phrase. I need to start using that because like when I got the PS4 Spider-Man, that was the first thing I did was stop playing the story and just start running around and like doing all of the additional side stuff. That way, once I get later on the game, I don't have to worry about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Or like,
then you know exactly where to go and you can take care of things efficiently.
yeah, it's it certainly takes a weight off your shoulders. Or like another example is I played Borderlands, you know, back in the day. I'm the kind of person where I don't like to spend skill points. I hoard them.
Kind of like elixirs, you just gotta hold on to them until you can use them, right?
It's if I remember to use them. Because honestly, they accumulate and I kind of forget about it. Because, I don't know, there's just... I kind of see it. I've played so many games in my life where I've gotten those skill points. I'm just like, oh, but there's something I want that I don't have the points for. It's just kind of a, what if I save my points so I can get this? But what if something better comes along? So I might as well just save all of it.
Oh, fair, yeah.
Is it smart? Probably not, but...
I imagine it probably adds an extra layer of difficulty to the games.
Yes, it adds unnecessary difficulty to me and my best friend who I play with. He's just like, why do you do this to yourself? You have like 100 skill points. Just spend them. I'm like, but what if I need them after I spend them?
And you'll have to get more of them.
Yeah. So, did you play Dark Souls before you started streaming, or was that your first?
Not really. No. I played Bloodborne, and I remember I got to either the third or fourth boss, I think, on stream, and then I had my roommate at the time help me through the next boss, and I was like, well, the game's too easy if I have people help me. I don't want to play anymore. So now I'm playing on stream, making sure I get no help so that I can suffer through and make it feel accomplished all on my own.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that is the right way to play it. Like, it's, don't get me wrong, it's certainly fun to play with friends on it. But when I played Dark Souls 3, because like I said, I came from Bloodborne, I played that, and I beat all the bosses in Bloodborne except for the very last one in the DLC, which I won't talk about. But when we did that, when I went to Dark Souls, it was so different. And there's a boss in the DLC in the first DLC of Dark Souls 3, called Lady Frida is her name, and she is incredibly difficult, almost like and I may get conflicting opinions about it, but what is it, the one you mentioned from Elden Ring, starts with an M.
Oh yeah. Millennia,
Yeah,
whatever the fuck.
Melania. However you pronounce her name. Where it's just a two-phase boss that just sucks. And to put into perspective, we're in a group call, and one of our friends had his roommate was watching Rocky movies in the background, and we could hear it. And apparently, it took us almost 2.5 Rocky movies
Oh my god.
to beat that boss. And if you know anything about Rocky movies, I want to say they're about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think that's right. I know they're pretty lengthy, if I remember correctly.
So it was let's just say it was more than we thought we could handle. So I'm going to adjust this real quick. That way I have my Twitch open. Sweet. But yeah, it was an experience, to say the least. So I can only imagine starting Dark Souls 1 and going down that path. Like, how is that?
I really like it because, like I said, I kind of like having the challenge because of overcoming it. And plus, for me, it's kind of like an outlet because if you've watched any of my streams, I curse a lot. I keep almost like, I don't know how you rate your streams, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go a little light on the cursing if I can help.
Well, that actually leads me into my next question: is in your streamer bios or about sections, you say that you have a habit of cursing. Now, is this an important like facet of your channel identity and brand that you make known?
Well, so the thing for me, the little background is when I was a young giraffe, I had 3 older brothers, and the brothers, of course, did as brothers do, cursed like sailors. So naturally, I picked up on that, and I still do that. So, I don't really even think about it much anymore. As I said, I keep accidentally almost dropping F-bombs all over the place. And like, especially during Dark Souls streams, I say fuck a lot, I say shit a lot. So whenever people raid me, I'm always like, okay, warning, I may look like a cute little giraffe girl, but I am so sorry, I have one of the foulest mouths I think I've ever heard. So if you don't like listening to that, then feel free to leave. If you do like listening to that, then you're in the right place.
I mean, to be fair, if you're playing a Dark Souls game, I feel like swearing is one of those things where it's just like understandable.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So, like, Lord knows when I would be playing Bloodborne by myself and I'm going on those harder bosses, I'd swear to myself a little bit, because I'm not perfect. You know, I try not to swear. I don't really swear. But if something like Dark Souls or Bloodborne gets you going, it gets me going, I'll swear once or twice. So
well, I feel like one of these days I should put a little curse counter on my stream and see how many I actually dropped in a stream, because I'm sure it's an unreasonable amount. Like, if I look back at my clips, I'm like, holy fuck, where did all those come from?
Oh my, well, guess what? We gotta throw a swear on that counter right now.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you talk about a swear counter, because like recently, when I get irritated, I don't swear as much. Instead, I just make an almost like moan-esque noise, if you will. We're just like an kind of thing.
Ah, I see.
And so my biggest worry is that like chat will call me out on that.
Well, I feel like it's better they could call you out on it than like clip it into suspicious things.
Oh no. If that's what they want to do in their free time, you know,
embrace it.
I'm glad they have hobbies. But you know, as I said, streaming era, like swearing is not, in my opinion, it's not the worst thing for a streamer. But in terms of the content of language, do you think that content of language is an important thing that streamers should watch for when they stream? And if so, what do you think about that?
I feel like it's kind of for streamers, you know, you kind of set the tone of your audience and who watches you. And so if your goal is to have younger audience, then I think it's probably more important to watch exactly what you're saying. For me, I just want to have people who have fun, so I don't really give a fuck about how I present myself or what's said in my chat or anything. Like, people come in, they're like, hey, is it okay if I curse? And I'm like, dude, have you heard me? I curse all the fucking time. Do what you want to do. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, that I mean that makes that makes complete sense, because when you think about it, I've seen a lot of streamers that tiptoe around it, um, and that's not to say that's a bad thing. Like for instance, I choose not to swear when I go live, and I don't really swear in my daily life. But some people it comes a little more naturally, and so I feel like there is, as of recently with like a lot of advertising, I feel like it puts a lot of strain on normal streamers who just swear in their natural in more of their natural dialogue. You know, I'm not saying people are saying slurs or they're talking about, you know, very high pushy stuff, but just, you know, saying an S-bomb, saying an F-bomb. You know, I feel like, do you think it puts a little bit more pressure on the streamer to try and conform to these guidelines that weren't there before?
You know, that's a really interesting thought. So before I became a VTuber, I actually was a writer, and I actually thought about the importance of words a lot more in the written text than I do verbal things. For me personally, I kind of, while I am streaming more as like a way to, you know, of course everybody wants to blow up in some capacity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to blow up being myself. I don't want to pretend to be somebody that I'm not. And by filtering my language, I feel like that is me pretending to be somebody else. So if people don't want that kind of content, obviously don't watch my stuff. But you bring an interesting point in terms of promoting or sponsorships or YouTube and all of that stuff, where they really want you to put more of a leash on your mouth. And of course, if I were to aim for some sort of monetization, I would probably have to censor myself using noises or whatever. Maybe I'll make giraffe noises over my curse words.
Yeah.
But I feel like that would be more something in the editing aftermath phase, less so than my actual live streams.
Interesting points. I mean, and you bring up especially the word censor, because it seems like recently with a lot of the changes that are going on, so like Twitter or Twitch or I Kick, you know, I have not been on Kick, so I don't know much about that, but it seems that because like recently YouTube kind of re-examined and changed a little bit about their guideline policy and just what constitutes as demonetization, especially in words. Like, I wonder if I can pull this up. YouTube's I can't spell. So let's see. Because whether or not this was last year, because they completely reworked how everything was. Because for instance, you could say like, you know, an A word or an occasional, D word or a B word, but so now suddenly they moved it so the F word doesn't immediately constitute immediate demonetization. Because do you remember back in the days of YouTube where you couldn't swear within the first minute of a video? Because that was just Game Grumps is a channel that I watch a lot, and a lot of their content with their gaming, they swear a lot, like I said, it's completely fine, but how they do it in their post videos, they censored the first minute. I don't know if they do that anymore, but they censored that first minute, and some people kind of took challenge with it, and it's interesting to see how the landscape has changed its sort of communication, because the way we communicate, that's how we relate to one another. So it's interesting to see that change from platform to platform. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, it is.
So then that begs the question: do you think that? Do you have any thoughts on the future of streaming if language continues to be, kind of reworked and changed a little bit to suit more like content-friendly advertising?
That's kind of something I'd have to look at whatever the terms and conditions would be changed to, like, for example, for Twitch in specifics. Just because, like, right now I have all the wordings that I possibly can on my channel in regards to being vulgar and having, I lost the word. Anyway, with lots of cursing. So I make sure to make that very known that that's what's going to happen on my channel. So I'm glad that they enabled those options on there just so that I can make sure to cover my ass.
Pardon me, Oth. I did not mean to. I put that on. I thought I turned it off. I realized I turned it on. My apologies, because if you look, guess what? There are the comments, or there's the chat. It just appears on the desk. I want to rework that a little bit. That way it can be more visible. But yeah, that is it's certainly something that it's going to change over time. Where, I guess it's just how well we're gonna view communication, just advertiser stuff. But it's such a super interesting discussion right now. Just thinking about it. So, but back to the streamers, like, content is important. Have you ever had like any experience, or just thinking about it, where some streamers, especially VTubers, they create phrases, or they create things that just stay within their community. They're just like colloquial things. Like, do you have any of those within your channel, just like phrases or any things that you have just popped up and just kind of stayed?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but I do know that, like, one of my mods in particular, I have a couple health conditions that makes my brain not work very well sometimes.
Of course.
So I lose track of what I'm saying frequently. So one of my mods, his favorite thing that I've said is just the internet. No context further than that. Nothing. I don't remember what was before that. I just said the internet, and that was it. So randomly, when I have a brain fart, he just goes, the internet.
I can relate a little bit to that, because my my chat just really likes to, out of nowhere, bring up just the name Nick. And now
I saw that in your tag, and I was like, where'd that come from?
So, I think it's kind of a mainstay now, where everybody who comes into my chat, or who just watches, because any type of streaming chat becomes one of the most wonderfully unhinged but beautifully chaotic things possible, where you just won't anticipate it. And chat decided that everybody is now named Nick. Maybe the occasional Greg.
Nice.
So it amazes me how chats change and creates that sense of community between different streamers. So, and just looking at you, watching your VODs and your streams, clearly you create a pardon me, that femboy comment. I get femboy a lot. But just, where did my thought go? I lose my train of thought as well. But it's just interesting, watching, your stuff. It clearly, you create a warm and welcoming environment and sense of community. Do you think it's hard for people to create those kinds of things on the internet? Like, what's your experience with that?
So for me, if I get any weird, it's because I have a cat on my desk now. So she may block my tracking. But for me, I feel like, since I'm just myself, I didn't really set out into the world to create whatever kind of community I have. I'm really lucky to have the community that I have, and they all pick on me, and I feel like I'm all their younger sister, because I feel like we kind of have a sibling sort of relationship, and so that always makes me have a really good time. So I feel I am a big believer of like, you put your vibe into the world, and whatever comes back is a reflection of kind of like who you are and what you kind of stand for in a way, especially in the streaming capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, if somebody comes in my channel and starts like being an asshole, I'm gonna give them the boot because I don't want to have that around me, right?
No, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, so I feel like if everybody's sort of authentically themselves, then they'll sort of get a mirror of that in their chat in a way.
Yeah, sometimes chat can be a little rowdy, but honestly, so I feel like as a streamer, some of your best moments come from interactions with your fan base. Because last week when I was talking with RU Prime, some of the best moments that he's had in his stream come from streamers that, and some of the people that he watches, comes from the streamer really taking time to just sit through and read comments. Because he's talking about a Minecraft streamer that would stream for like 3 hours, and some, you know, it'd be like 8 to 12 hours, and that like every 2 to 3 hours he'd stop and say, okay guys, I'm gonna take a break from playing, and I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna catch up on the chat. So, you know, it's just interesting. It's really interesting to see streamers take time to go through and read their chat and interact with their fan base. And, you know, of course it's hard when you have such higher counted audiences. Like, for instance, do you know the creator CDog VA?
Yes.
So recently, for those that don't know, Connor CDog VA, he is a voice actor and a streamer, and he lives in Japan right now. He's lived in Japan, I want to say, for the past like 2-3 years. But he was doing a live stream collaboration with Ludwig and I think 2 other people, and while we were streaming our show on Sunday this past week, there's 22,000 people watching that stream.
Holy shit.
So, and it's so incredible to think about 22,000 people coming, and this is worldwide, mind you, where people are watching, coming together, but thinking about how it's hard to interact with those people who are, you know, want to chat and talk. So it's really incredible to see like a size difference where when you're a smaller individual, you have that capacity to interact more with people. And so, whereas if you have 22,000 people in your stream, suddenly that's a little bit. Yeah,
there's no way you're keeping track of that shit.
Oh no, but I will tell you, the only way that tends to happen is if you see chat start to gang up, and like everybody comments the same thing, especially VTuber chats. Yes, Oth, the poor mods. Like,
yeah, I couldn't imagine.
I can only imagine just how hard it is to be a moderator for somebody that big, or just, you know, think about like some of the bigger named VTubers out there, you know, somebody like Iron Mouse, somebody like Gargura, you know, just how much those mods have to work. Because let me tell you something. Actually, I'll turn this into a question. Has your opinion changed? Because I know for me it has. Has your opinion changed about moderators for, like, say, Twitch and Discord because of this?
You know, for me right now, I only have 2 mods. So, like, and I feel like my community is a good number for having 2 mods, because one of them is often very busy with work, which is totally fair. But I know when I'm streaming, I definitely really appreciate my mods, because sometimes, like, I don't like spoilers in my chat, and I don't like people trying to tell me what to do in my games. So one of my mods is really good about keeping an eye on that sort of stuff and deleting things before I notice it. Because usually once I notice it, it gets stuck in my head and I can't forget it. So I'm really appreciative of my mods, and I will always be very appreciative of my mods because they're amazing.
Yeah, like, I could not do this without, because I also have 2 mods that, you know, I couldn't do things without. So, you know, ending this little section with thank you, mods. You guys are the unsung heroes of of streamers. So, but yeah, why don't we shift a little bit more with you and your design. And since I started researching you, this has been a question I have been so excited and meaning to ask. I know what is above your ears. Can you tell us what those are?
These are ossicones.
And
they're not horns.
What are ossicones, if you would please tell us?
Ossicones are basically kind of like, sure, they're a subsection of horn because they're growths coming out of your head that are made of bony-like things. But these are special to me. These are special to giraffes. These are special to a very small section of, like, I think of copies also have them. But, like, they're not your normal horns. These are fancy because they are covered by skin and hair. They're not just bone. These are little furry things. And they're really good for doing damage when you hit people.
I see. Now,
giraffe thingamabobs. That's acceptable, I suppose.
Giraffe thingamabobs. So then, because when you did your re-debut with your new 2D model, I have to ask, was that how long did it take to design the right ossicones? Because I can imagine, it's such an important thing. How long did it take?
Actually didn't take very long to come up with these little guys thinking about it. Because, like, when I went to designing it, I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna be a giraffe. I know I'm gonna have spots. I know I'm gonna have little things coming out of my head. And then, I looked at them and I was like, how can I make those anime-like? And I was like, I know, I'll make them like the Shrek things, but cuter.
The Shrek things, but cuter.
Yeah, I drew a little tutorial. Oh, my cat's in the middle of my screen. So sorry if I freeze weird. I drew a little tutorial of how to draw Miridae, and I was like, first you draw Shrek, and then you give her the big nose, and then you make it cute.
That is awesome. Like, if you take a look at if you saw my just chatting screen, the little picture I had there in my chat box, that is essentially how I would describe you can draw my character. It's just a round, like a balloon shape head with two circles for eye, like, two small circles for eyes, two glasses, and then just small streaks for hair, and then the ears. And it's funny how you can do that. Welcome, the Eagle 2069.
No, Eagle, you're lying.
Still has a big nose, by the way. Well, from my screen, I don't see a big nose.
Yeah, my nose is tiny. It's hidden under my spots.
Oh, I see. But that, moving a little, because we're talking about the ossicones, we're talking about that. You campaigned really hard and talked about that in your re-debut. Have you had people in the past who would call them horns? Because I noticed that fairly often you would talk about, just maintaining that these are ossicones, these are not horns.
Well, not so much that. I actually, more what I get is people are like, what animal are you? Are you a cow? And I'm like, no, I'm a giraffe. And then I got, are you a deer? No, I'm a giraffe. So it's like, I want to make sure I distinguish that I am a giraffe and these are not horns, because I don't want them thinking I'm a different animal.
So then do you think people are maybe expecting something along the lines of like a traditional one where it has a long neck?
I mean, I did have a long neck toggle on my chibi model, so that's not out of the question. So after I debuted, my rigger watched over my VOD, and they were like, hey, do you want me to make you a long neck toggle? And I was like, oh my god, if you would please, that would be amazing.
Oh my god.
That might happen in the future, but for right now, I don't have one.
It just reminds me of, there was this subreddit on Reddit. What is it, the Pokemon called? Executor? What is it?
The tree with the eggs?
Yes! Yeah, I think that's what it was. And all it was, are you a cat? Maybe. the thing about it was the subreddit was dedicated to creating the Reddit's longest neck.
Oh.
And that's all it was people would make designs, like it would keep like the executor neck that would go up, but it would like design things around it. And I have no idea if that subreddit is still active, but just anytime I hear like the idea of a long neck or just talking about the long neck toggle, that's what I think about, is something like Doug Dimmadome's hat that goes on forever. But and I also found out recently that people attribute a giraffe's height to its most of its height is attributed to its neck. Because if its neck was not so long, it's just, it just kind of be more like a horse.
It would be, yes.
So do you know any biological facts about giraffes that you could tell us that we
The first thing I can think of is that I think it has, this might be factually wrong, I may be incorrectly quoting this, but I believe that giraffes have the same amount of vertebrae as we humans do. Theirs are just significantly larger.
Let's see. So the giraffes, like all mammals, have 7 neck vertebrae. Really? Huh. And they probably have around 50 vertebrae in total. Scientists have not studied the vertebrae column, the vertebral column of giraffes as a whole in detail, but most mammals do not have nearly as many total vertebrae as birds. So giraffe vertebrae versus humans. So, oh my gosh, even though the neck of a giraffe can be 8 feet long and weigh up to 600 pounds. Wow. They only have 7 neck vertebrae, which is the same number of neck bones that a human has. But unlike our vertebrae, each of theirs can be up to 10. Wow!
Yeah!
I'm learning so much. That's incredible. Man. Well, I can only imagine like what the neck toggle would be like, because I know I've seen your emotes that you have, and one that makes me giggle is the one where it's the sideways one. You have your body as an emote, and then a neck as an emote, and the head as one.
Yeah, it was too many emotes for me to put on Twitch, so I have to use better BTTV for it. But I love it.
And so I can just imagine how much fun that would be, because you just have the head, the neck, and the body. You just make the neck really long, and that just sounds really creative and fun.
Yeah, people like to put weird things on the head and the body spot of it on like my Discord. So there's some weird looking things in there.
That sounds like fun. But moving, because this kind of relates to the your model is on your stream, on your re-debut stream, you talked about how, you waited quite a little bit of time for your model, because as you said previously, you streamed with a chibi model. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so after finally waiting time, because, models take time to design, to properly draw, to illustrate, to get those finer details, and send it off to somebody who knows how to rig the model. I've seen firsthand how difficult rigging can be, especially since whether it's 2D or 3D, because I work in Unity, and so seeing all of that is just a nightmare. So I can only imagine. But once you finally got it, I mean, clearly you were very excited to finally show it off. How was the wait for that?
So for me, I feel like the hardest part to wait was for the rigging, because once I had the model, like the artwork for it, I dissected the shit out of that in Photoshop, and I played with it, and I learned about all the ins and outs on the different layers, and I was like, I can't wait until this moves. And then I had to wait, like, let's see, I got the artwork for it in April. I didn't have it rigged until September, so like 5 months just waiting for it to be rigged. And I was just like, whenever I'd get really impatient, I'd just look at the model like, it's gonna be so good, I gotta wait for it, it'll be great when it's done. And it was so worth the wait.
So then, if I may, because I know this changes from different artists and rigger, like it varies. Is there anything like anything you could tell people who want to get, you know, it professionally done, you know, to kind of keep in mind or just think about? Because I know some people who want to, they're like, oh, you know, I have $1,000 that I want to put down on a model, you know, I have 500, and they're expecting like this 2-week turnaround time. And so
Definitely don't expect it that fast.
so
Like, so I actually put down the order for this model. I started streaming early December. I think I ordered it after Christmas because I was like, okay, I love streaming. I made myself a little PNG that I used for in the very beginning because I wasn't sure how long it was going to take, and I had expected I'd get it in within like 5 months, I think, but that was when I ended up getting the artwork. So then I was like, okay, well, since this is going to take significantly longer than I had first anticipated, I saw somebody who was doing who did chibi models, and they had a really quick turnaround time. So I was like, okay, I want something that moves more than my PNG does. So I guess I'll commission them. And I feel like it was a really good investment because then I was able to have that until I got this finally, instead of just being the PNG the whole time, which I did enjoy being the PNG. Since I drew the artwork for it, I was able to draw outfits and stuff for it, so that made it a little bit more exciting. But it's just not quite the same to have a moving model that bounces when I bounce, you know?
yeah, because look at your model, I noticed that there's so many small intricate things like the lapels on your shirt, that collar, just it, you know, it breathes, it moves when you move, you know, the arms, the sleeves, that's the word, the sleeves, you know, they actually move, the skirt flows, the hair sort of interlaces back and forth. There's so many moving parts with that. I can't imagine how many revisions or how many times you had to meet with your designer and your rigging person to really get all this perfect for you.
I was actually really lucky in that the artist, like, she sent me the sketch and I was like, okay, yeah, that's perfect. Except for she had my ossicones like way tall at first. So I was like, we need to shrink this down a little bit because that's a little too tall. But she did an amazing job once I showed her my version, and then she made it obviously in her own art, and it turned out great. And then the rigger also did a fantastic job. I didn't actually have to give her any critique because she did so great.
Hey, that's incredible. I can only imagine. I've somebody I know who got a model, they probably went to each person, the illustrator and the rigging person, they went back and forth probably like 5 times for each person over the course of half a year to a year.
Oh my god.
But it was a very intricate model that they wanted. I mean, it looks great, but I just think about how hard that must have been for all parties involved. So it gives you more of a sense of respect for illustrators and just rigging as a whole. Because I didn't know rigging was that was a thing, a whole industry before streaming.
Yeah, I like when I first started looking into VTubing too. Like, I had thought that you just paid someone to like do the art, and then you had to wear like one of those full body suits for like game captures for it to be able to figure out what the fuck was going on. I actually did research. I was like, oh, okay, there's a person who programs stuff. It's okay. It's not all the work that I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be. I thought, because I think, what was her name? Code Miko? Is that? That was originally my first introduction to VTubing was with the streamer girl DM, and she talked about how she helped rig the facial features for her model when she re-debuted with it, and it was incredible to see how many moving parts it was. I mean, my dream, one of my goals for streaming is to have a model that can be as expressive just in the mouth. I don't care about the eyes, I don't care about the nose or the body, just the mouth, because the amount you can express in emotion with just your mouth is, I feel like, would be such a cool thing to obtain. But then you look at someone like Code Miko, that what she does takes it to a whole other level, and she uses a full motion capture setup.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But like, it seems you like, I'd also love to. Do you know the streamer Fillion?
The name sounds familiar, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
So I'm gonna preface this by saying she is a gremlin. Because she just, if you ever watch her clips, you'll understand what I mean. But she streams with if I remember her setup correctly, she uses the Steam Valve Index headset and does full body stuff. She has, I think, 3 trackers, one for the leg, one for the body, one for the arm, or I think two for the legs, 2 for the arms, and then use an entire just empty room because she does full-on flips on stream.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, she does full flips. And so, like, that, I always thought that'd be such a fun and interesting route to go into. But can you, like, apparently she's broken quite a few headsets because she does flips on stream.
I'm sure I would fall I would fall flat on my face if I tried to do something like that. So I cannot imagine.
Yeah, I think there was a stream one time where she did a flip, but she kicked the light above her and it shattered.
Oh no!
And so she just kind of sat there just like, oh, frick. Well, I just broke the light. Now I can't see anything. But
Jeez.
it's so interesting to think how far VTubing has come. Like, especially in terms of expression, because your eyes are very expressive. And just, yeah, like just right there, just the pupils, the iris, the retinas, how everything just dilates and expands, it's just incredible technology.
Yes.
That is really just blasted off recently. So yeah, sorry, I love talking about people's models.
Because I think the models are the best part of VTubers, everybody's so creative, and seeing everything people come up with is so fun.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Like, originally, this set is a second draft, because the first one I really liked. This desk was pushed further back, the couch was pushed further back, and so that way there was a little more space to work with. But the point that was offered to me by my best friend was people who are coming on want to show off their model.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, you know what? That's right. And so I pulled everything forward that way people could have and show off their models. And like, that's some of the best part. That is, I think, one of the most important things about VTubing is just, you being able to love your model, whether it's a simple model of just a PNG or if it's a full-on 3D model where you're Code Miko.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I get off track so much just talking about cool designs. I'm a sucker for that. But yeah, we're hitting the halfway point. Let's shift to instead of just appearance and all that, why don't we shift to content, shall we? So, you stream a variety of content on your channel. You play sit-down games, chill games, and you play games like Dark Souls, or you're playing horror games, because it's October, some spooky stuff. How does this type of variety allow you flexibility?
So for me, I get bored of playing the same thing all the time, especially a game like Dark Souls where I'm really beating my head against the wall most of the time. So I feel like a little bit of variety helps me in one asset because it allows me to, mix it up and not always have the same tone. Because if I'm playing a scary game every day, all day, I get burnt out. Or it makes me really fatigued if I'm actively being very scared, like I was at the beginning part of Alien Isolation the other day. So for me, it's kind of a nice little refresher. And I am a type of person who really likes routine. So for me, Monday is my popular game day or collab day. Tuesday is my rotating game where I play games that aren't usually high viewer counts, but for October I'm playing my favorite visual novel series. And then I have Wednesdays off. And Thursdays I call Torture Thursdays because I always suffer because I'm playing Dark Souls that day or any other Souls-like games that day. And then Friday I was doing Freaky Friday for horror games, but we're still doing horror games on Fridays, but it's we're also doing some rewards for my debut-a-thon since I had just recently debuted with this model too. So like it's kind of been a mixed bag while also still fairly orderly, just because that way I can keep track of my week better.
Your debut-a-thon, you just brought that up. Do you mind if we talk about that a little bit? So you're doing I'm assuming it's a subathon, but it's, you know, it's called a debut-a-thon because you don't just re-debuted. Talk about that a little bit. How has that been going for you?
It was really good. I had a lot of fun. I instead of like doing 24-hour streams like some people do, I wanted to still have time for myself, so I only did 10-hour streams until the timer ran out. And then I did Alien Isolation, and I had people use their points from donating to determine how long I played Alien Isolation. Ended up having to play it for, I think, 27, 28 hours. It was a long time. But I got most of the way through the game, so I'm gonna finish that up on Halloween. And then for all the random rewards we've hit, I'm doing random streams to be associated with those too. So like I did karaoke a couple weeks ago, and then I did Jackbox games yesterday, and Honkai Star Rail was another game on the list. So I've just got some random ass shit on there.
The karaoke stream. I certainly have to ask, what songs did you do? Because karaoke is obviously a very widely has a very wide song base and song choice. So how did that stream go? What were some of the songs that you decided to sing for that?
I sang Wonderwall. I sang In the End by Linkin Park.
Oh.
I sang. What else did I try to sing? I sang Paramore song. I sang Panic at the Disco. I didn't sing any Japanese songs or anything like that. I know that's sometimes popular with VTubers, but I don't know Japanese, so I didn't sing any. Oh.
So then, you know, fun fact, I've never listened to or heard the song. Like, I know the name. I've never in my life heard Wonderwall to this day.
What?
Nope, never in my life. I have not listened to Wonderwall. And at this point, I'm kind of trying my best to avoid it. Like, just to keep up and say how...
Just out of spite?
More or less. Because, like, how ubiquitous Wonderwall is. Because I'm a musician as well. And I play... You know, I play the piano, I play the upright bass, you know, like the big old boom, boom, boom kind of jazz bass. Play that. But I also play guitar. And if you know anything about guitarists, the amount of times I get asked, hey, play Wonderwall. So,
yeah, I'm sure.
At this point in my life, I have never heard 1 second of the song Wonderwall. And
That's so funny.
And I kind of feel like I'm trying my best to not break that. And if it comes on, you know, I wouldn't know, but I probably have one of those moments I'll walk through like a Walmart and just be like, is that, did you just say one? No, I just heard Wonderwall for the first time. So, but that kind of like, it also doubles with another thing called, you ever heard of the Whampocalypse?
I can't say that I have.
So in the month of December, they're playing all the Christmas music. You know the band Wham with George Michael?
Not ringing any bells.
Do you know the song Careless Whisper?
Ah, yes.
That is Wham.
Gotcha.
So, they have a Christmas song called Last Christmas. So it's a song that's like, last Christmas I gave you my heart, and the very next day you gave it away.
Oh, yeah.
So that song, I was introduced to this a couple years ago from one of my supervisors from an old job I used to work. And he said, because I like listening to Christmas music at Christmas time. And so I was playing on a speaker one time as I was sitting at my desk. And he's like, hey, could you turn that down or put some headphones in? I'm like, oh, why is that? Because I want to survive the Whampocalypse. What is that? So basically, during the month of December, because of how much Last Christmas is played, you try your best to avoid it at all costs so you don't listen to the song.
Nice.
And so Can you imagine actively avoiding a song that's so ubiquitous as Wonderwall or Last Christmas?
Yeah, no way.
It is hard. But let me tell you something. It's funny when you bring it up because you're like, hey, I've never heard. Yeah, let's sing Wonderwall. I don't know how that goes. So, but yeah, oh my goodness. But back to your back to the flexibility that you have. So it seems you have a very like a big schedule. You know, you stream 5 times a week,
Yeah, sometimes 5, mostly 4.
and so I imagine building that consistency. You know, of this day I'm doing this is the theme of this day. This is the theme of this day. Do you think that having a set schedule like this could help potential VTubers or streamers having that, or do you think kind of playing it by ear is also a more viable option? If that makes sense.
I think it really depends on the person. Like, I really like things like, I'm a little anal in terms of how I do things for my stream. So I feel like for me it works best just because I like constant change, but I also still like schedule at the same time, which is a weird kind of combo because I don't want to do the same thing every day. I like doing different things every day, but I like those different things to be in a set schedule of variety. So it's confusing, but it works best for me. I feel like for me personally too is that it kind of also makes me in a way feel a little bit more valued for my audience because of the fact that I feel like they're watching more for me and less the specific content I'm playing.
You know, that's like I don't think I've really thought about is how sometimes a community can grow more attached to the content than the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's something that happens fairly frequently? Because like I said, I've never thought about streaming like that where people latch on to the content. Like, I love playing Phasmophobia. There's a streamer that I watch that again I really enjoy, and so I guess that kind of puts it in perspective. Am I watching because I like Phasmophobia, or am I watching because I like the person?
Yeah, and it's kind of something I've picked up on for me specifically when I browse subreddits like Twitch or VTubers where they're like, hey, how can I grow? And people are always like, oh, variety is the death of growth because you won't have the consistency of people watching you. But at the same time, I'd rather people come to know my jokes, like my laugh, or whatever the case may be for me as an individual versus just the game I'm playing.
Huh. That is a very good way of putting that. Because, like previously mentioned with our last guest, RU Prime, he primarily streams Minecraft, and so I wonder if at a certain point, do you think it's confining yourself? Because when you're saying variety is can be the death of a streamer, do you think maybe if you choose to isolate yourself in a specific game, do you think that could pigeonhole you? And because if you want to express yourself and do things that are outside of what you normally do, perhaps that could also be a detriment.
Yeah, I think in a way it is, but that might also just be lending towards the fact that I don't like watching me do the same thing every day, right? Because at the end of the day, I stream for me because I want to do things that entertain others. So if I'm not having fun, I can't be entertaining. So while for me specifically, I do think pigeonholing myself into one specific game forever and ever would be a detriment. But for somebody else who may have a lot of different things to say about one specific game, may have such a vast wealth of knowledge that it might not. It's I feel like streaming is very often case by case.
Mm-hmm.
And so one size can't fit all. But for me personally, I know I couldn't do it.
So I suppose, yeah, you're right. It is a case by case basis. One size can't fit all. So I guess perhaps if new people will take anything from this, is just that find what makes you happy and see how you can make that your fun, your excitement. Because like for me, I have no, if I were to spend the rest of my hiccups, they're back. No, If I could spend the rest of my Twitch career playing Team Fortress 2 and Phasmophobia on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I just spend Saturday, Sunday talking with as many VTubers as I can, you know, for me, I'd be fine with that. But I know for some other people, that might be very hard. So, you know, it's just take it as a case-by-case basis. So you are correct. I agree with you in that regard. So, have you ever considered having a more if we were to have like a singular game that you display on the channel? Do you have any game that you'd want to do, or like a favorite game?
Well, yes and no. Like, for me right now, I'm playing through the Zero Escape series for the month of October. I beat the first game, but this series is like my favorite series of any visual novel or maybe even any game of all time. So I started playing it specifically for self-indulgence, and I used October as a reason to play it because it's got spooky vibes and like there's blood and stuff, and it's gory. It's great. I love it. So I don't know if I could ever just say I want to just play one game forever. Because if I were to pick my favorite game, I'd run out of content very fast.
That is, I guess, something to really consider as well. Because if you're like, say, a Minecraft YouTuber or Twitch streamer, you know, it could be hard to come up with new content and ideas. So I guess that certainly contributes to a lot of either burnout or just people wanting to change, is considering how much you can make things, make content out of things. Now, looking at Zero Escape, that's interesting. I think I've seen this game.
Oh, I love this series so much.
Because a game series that's near and dear to my heart is the Danganronpa series.
Yes, that's a good series too.
And so, I still need to play Danganronpa 3. I still need to do that, but I beat 1 and 2, and I love Danganronpa 2. It's such a good game, and especially just a lot of the moments in it. And so when I finished that game, I wanted to look if there are any more games like that. I think Zero Escape, was that Nunnery?
Yes, the Nonary games are the first 2 games. And I would say if you're looking for something to play after Danganronpa, then that's definitely the route to go.
But
and then I'd say a third follow-up game from that is the Somnium AI series.
Insomnia what?
The Insomnia AI series. I think that's what it's called. Somnium.
Oh,
Somnium Files.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that series.
AI, the Somnium Files.
Yeah. I never remember the orders that it goes in.
Interesting, because I've never been a big visual novel kind of guy, but it's something I've always wanted to give a little more, attention to, because that's just it's such a different. Welcome, Alex, welcome. It's been such a different experience, because I know, speaking of going back to Connor Dog VA, he does not like visual novels because he in his words, it's just reading with occasional pictures.
Yeah, that's fair.
But at the same, because I guess he isn't the Fate series kind of like that.
I played those. I don't know.
Don't worry, I've never played the Fate series either. But I know that originally Steins Gate, one of my favorite anime, was a visual novel. And so it's just super interesting to actually going in, because if you think about it, technically Danganronpa would be considered a visual novel.
Yep.
So, thank you for that recommendation. I have to check those out, especially thank you for reminding me again of Zero Escape.
Oh, I love it. I played it before I played Danganronpa, and then I still want to go. I still go back to Zero Escape and play the first game over again. I can't experience it for the first time again, of course, but that's part of the reason why I wanted to make sure to stream it, is because that way the people in my audience can have the reveals and react to the reveals, and I could be like, yes, this gives me life force.
Oh yeah, like that's something I'd love to play more story oriented game on stream. But my biggest worry, I feel like the only way you'd be able to play a game like that is how do you prevent spoilers then in your chat? I mean, because there's always a possibility. Um, I wonder if that's just mod action. You know,
Yeah.
because like I started playing Undertale for the first time a couple weeks ago. I'm like I'm maybe like 15 20 minutes in, but like already it's a game like I don't want spoiled. And so
Mhm.
like I'm like, is this a game I want to play on stream? And I'd hate for somebody to come in, just a random person come in, just spoil it and then dip.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of lucky in that regard because I had played the Zero Escape series, so there's no one to spoil it for me. But like, I was on the lookout for people spoiling it for others, and I was like, I'll delete these if people get out of hand. But nobody did, so we were good.
well, you're doing the Lord's work on that. Spoilers suck.
Yes.
Oh, pardon me. So we're gonna begin to we're about in the 2/3 of the way through this. So I want to say we probably have about 40 minutes left in this. Where was I? I get off track very easily. Yes. So, do you have any plans for the future with streaming or VTubing? Like any like your goals, for example. You had some goals in your you said you had some goals with your re-debut. You know, you mind sharing those? Hello, party boy. Welcome.
Well, so for my goals for my debut, they were things for like 5 years in the future. So they're like really out there. Let's see if I can remember them off the top of my head without pulling up the picture.
Take
So
your time.
obviously everybody's goal, I feel, who is a streamer is to hit the next goal post. And my next goal post on Twitch is to hit partner, which is going to be like way, 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 way down the road. I'm not expecting that anytime soon, of course. But I think before goals for the end of the year, I'm looking at 500 followers on Twitch because I'm at 4 something right now.
I think 406 was the last what I saw.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And then some personal goals I'd love to someday, not anytime now, soon I don't think, is to create and do an original song, but I don't know. I don't feel confident in publishing my singing quite yet. Even though I'm gonna have to because that was one of the debut-a-thon goals, so a bad cover is going to be coming to Miri's future soon.
You'd say bad cover?
Yeah, because I don't have confidence in my singing, so we're just gonna call it a bad cover. It's gonna be a karaoke version with me singing on the top, and I'm just gonna upload that to YouTube and call it good enough.
I wouldn't say that's a bad cover. I'd say that's a Miri cover.
There we go. Yeah, we'll call it that.
Because, like, trust me, one of my goals is I'd also love to release a song. Like, I'd love to write my own song, but writing songs is so hard.
So hard.
So, but at the same time, I feel like it's one of those things where if you give yourself the confidence to do, it becomes one of the most fun memories you'll ever have.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah, I feel like if I ever do an original song, I'm probably gonna have somebody else write it for me. Because I tried to write an original song for a novel I was writing at some point, and I was like, okay, this is not it for me.
I know how you feel, because like I thought it'd be fun. Hear me out. Write a sort of an intro song for this show, because like if you see like late night shows like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or Seth Meyers or something like that, they all have songs, just like big brass stuff. And so writing for brass is so hard to do. But it's so incredible when you see people who are releasing original music that just like, well, maybe if they can do it, maybe I just need to have a little more confidence in myself.
Right.
So, but do you know if there's like a genre you'd kind of want to sing? Or do you have like a favorite genre of music for singing?
I feel like because of my voice naturally the way it is, I really want to do something like fucking Europop, like
Yo,
Aqua.
let's go! Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, it would be fun. I feel like you don't really get many Europop VTuber songs, so I was like, okay, here we go.
My goodness, I can only imagine, because like I don't, of the Europop I've listened to, it's just wild. Like the energy is unmatched. Like maybe the closest I've seen is like a big J-pop song or a big K-pop song. But like, dang, if you can pull that off, hats off to you, because I could never do something like that.
Yeah, no, it would be interesting. That's for sure.
But you know, always thinking about covers and music that just, it's interesting to see how that's like a goal for a lot of people these days. For VTubing is just they want to release a song. So, you know, hats off to you for wanting to do that. I know it's very hard. It'd be really hard for me, but you know, I feel like if if we can have confidence, we can do it.
Confidence is key. It's just a matter of gathering it, you know?
Oh yeah. And then not to mention, you also talking about that zoo, you know. So do you know, let's step towards that zoo a little bit, because you know, I think that'd be fun to talk about, is just you know, if you were to design your own zoo, are there any things that you'd think would make it stand out just you know, more than just a normal zoo with normal animals? Because besides you talking about earlier about how it would have people that, you know, look like me with more of a human with like animal features, you know, like what would separate that a little bit?
So when I envision my zoo for my lore, I envision it on like a far distant planet with a lot of cages and a lot of people that are all like members of my cult.
Oh.
You know, gotta be a leader of some kind, right?
Yeah.
And I'd make sure that I'd have as many different types of VTubers that I could get. Make sure to have a fox, a cat, a cow, whatever I can find.
That'd be super interesting to think about, because like the variety of VTubers recently, like just before the show, I was looking on Twitter, and I saw somebody who's going to be re-debuting. They're a shrimp VTuber.
Nice.
And so like they have the, you know, like an anime face, you know, with the, you know, white hair, cool like outfit, and then behind them you see a shrimp tail. And so it caught me completely off guard, because I'm like, what is this? So
yeah, I saw an axolotl the other day, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I think I saw someone who was a salmon. I don't know. There's a lot of really creative designs out there.
yeah, like axolotl. So they have like the little bit of like the I wouldn't call them whiskers, but like
the frilly things around the face. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Or like I've seen a bunch of sharks and a lot of aquatic life. Like for instance, I think a megalodon, I saw one.
Yes.
Let's see. So I saw a megalodon. I've seen like a great white. Saw like a humpback whale. It's like,
I haven't seen any turtles.
What? I don't. You know, now if you think about it.
Yeah, I want to see a turtle VTuber.
Interesting. You know, looking at it. Interesting. I guess that's not a big thing.
No, it would be really unique.
That would be really unique. But you know what's also interesting is people like recently, people creating more unique ideas. Like I think one of the, like for VTubers, because one of the ones that comes to mind is a lamp.
What?
Like a lamp. I kid you not, a lamp.
Oh my gosh.
So it is a, they basically put, it was a PNG tuber, but all they did was when the light, when they weren't talking, the lamp was like a, like imagine one with a circular base, the pole going up, and like a shade, like a circular shade that goes around it. So when you light it up, the, you know, the shade, like kind of like that lamp, like a desk lamp, you know. And so when they talked, the lamp would turn on and light up.
And that's amazing.
And when they stopped talking, the lamp would turn off and go dark. So,
Creative.
so let's see. I think. Oh my god, they have changed. They have changed since last I saw. I guess is their name Lampert? Is that who that was? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So back in the day, it was just a lamp that would turn on and off. And now they actually have like eyes. They have glasses, an outfit.
Oh my gosh.
That's incredible. They actually have a body. What? But yeah, just thinking about, there's so many unique, like, different VTubers to come across. Or like, was it Truck-kun? Was that it?
I'm familiar with that one.
Truck-chan? Yeah. So there's a there's a VTuber, and her name is Truck-chan.
Nice.
So the idea is that the truck got the, I think that it's essentially the truck that isekais people.
Oh,
And they're a VTuber.
that's amazing.
And they're actually going to be at TwitchCon Vegas.
Oh,
Well, I didn't realize TwitchCon was in Vegas this year. Oh, or is TwitchCon always in Vegas?
I think it's always maybe.
Oh no. But yeah, I wonder if we'll ever get to a point where we, like, you can't think of any like traditional VTuber, like, or just, you know, we'll see new VTubers of just of the traditional sense. We're gonna start getting like metaphysical with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of my favorite ones, his name is Joel, and he's a marionette doll. He was a dude that died, but his soul got transported into a marionette doll, and so now he is this like buxom doll with an incredibly deep and masculine voice.
Oh, nice.
And so people in his channel simp for him, and he has to tell them, "I'm a dude, I'm a guy," and then people get caught off guard. So, but goodness, I could, like I said, when it comes to VTuber designs, I could go on about that all day, and I don't get tired about that. So, there's some other things. Where was it? Very professional, can't you tell?
It's okay. I lost it for 5 minutes of that, the way the fucking green screen works, so we're good.
Oh, goodness. Where was it? We're very professional. My mind. This is just... Oh, so is there anything that, you know, we may have missed that you think we should mention while you're here?
Not that I can come to think of.
Okay.
I will say thank you so much for your time and having me on here at the very least.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't think of anything.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thankfully, we still have about 30 minutes. And so if it's all right, I'd love to go back to your re-debut and talking a little bit about your like your personal, because you brought up your likes, your dislikes, and you know, your goals. So, you know, something that caught my eye was cats getting declawed. Like, that was something you talked about, you focused on a lot.
Yes. You should never declaw your animals. It is dangerous. It will make them even more aggressive if they weren't already. And it's very painful to the animal. So do not ever do it or I will hunt you down.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine how rough that is, especially for a cat, because like when I got my cats, they were, you know, like I said, I love my cats to death. And they're just, the idea of declawing it, I can only imagine how much pain that would be for the cat.
Yeah, basically, if you look at your hand and you look at your topmost knuckle on your finger, removing a cat's claw is taking out that topmost part of your finger. You are just removing the nail, the bone, the everything if you cut that part off.
Oh, jeez.
And it also can cause further health problems to the cat further on because they can leave a little bit left and it can grow back and it can hurt them and it makes them a lot more angry. So don't
Really?
do it.
So does that is it kind of like a ingrown hair? Or not ingrown hair, like an ingrown nail?
Kind of, yeah.
So hates it because she also loses her fingertips. What?
No, I did not. Eagle's one of my mods, and he just likes to spout random bullshit. So just nod and smile and say, "Okay, Eagle."
Oh. Yeah, no, just because like something else we had was growing up. I also had like reptiles and ask Miri about her sumo fan art.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Okay. I'm a little intrigued, but if you say no. But yeah, like we had birds, we had pigeons, we had ducks, we had geese, and I'm just thinking about how, you know, some people clip their wings and just it's awful to kind of think about. So I imagine it's along the same vein as that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, just know we don't on this show, we don't support the declipping, you know, and declipping of nails and wings. That is not here. Raikou Nara, welcome. Kind of like finger nubs. What?
That's the other mod. Don't worry about them.
Doubling back to chat, chaotic chat, which I love.
Yes, those two love to just sow discord in my chat. So, hello.
Well, I'm super happy that they've come to support you. So, now looking a little bit about your goals. Oh, this was something I forgot to write down. It says, so one of your goals for streaming is to help normalize asexuality. You know, is that something you'd be willing to talk about a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I identify as 2 letters of the LGBTQIA community. I am biromantic because I am interested in both men and women and any number of the spectrum of that.
Okay.
And I am asexual in that I don't look at something and want to fuck it.
That is a very blunt way, but it does get the point across.
Yes.
So
like, I was joking around the other day because one of the things on my debut-a-thon for a reward was that I put on a hermit crab cam. My hermit crabs are currently molting, so they're underground, so that would not be fun to watch.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe instead I should do a smash or pass for the VTuber community on Twitter.
My God.
However, I know, knowing me, all of them would be passed because I don't look at things and think, wow, that person's sexy. So it would never work. So it's kind of like a gag to me because, like, I feel zero sexual attraction to anybody. It all matters about personality, how nice they are, things like that, not necessarily how they look. So for me, it was just going to be a laughing joke because nobody would make it in the smash category.
For chat, sometimes the audio, because it's over Discord, sometimes it gets a little robotic, but it typically clears up, and that's just a audio transmission, like over bandwidth thing. So, you know, sometimes that occasionally happens. One of these days I'll probably put a warning like on the top left corner of that warning. Guests will occasionally become robots, and that'll make more sense. So yeah, but it's so interesting that you phrase it as you want to help normalize it. Do you think it's not as normalized as it should be?
Yes, I do, because, like, for example, one of my idols that I kind of follow on social media, who has kind of really worked hard on making asexuality more of a common sexuality, her name is Yasmin Benoit, I believe it is. I don't know how to pronounce her last name very well. But she's over in Europe, and so she is a model, and she dressed in what some people would consider skimpy, but she wears it because she loves the way it makes her feel.
Hmm.
And everybody's like, you can't be an asexual if you're gonna wear clothes that show off cleavage. And so it's just a matter of being like, hey, everybody, you know, no matter what we look like, no matter how we dress, we all can have differences in our sexual orientation. And so I think that making sure that that's more widely accepted and understood is very important. Like, for example, Jaden Animations, she made a video last year, I think it was, maybe a year or two ago, about how she came out of being aromantic and asexual, which basically means she doesn't feel romantic or sexual attraction towards people. So I feel like that helped a lot in terms of normalizing it because it spread awareness about it that people might not necessarily know about. Because, for example, when I was growing up, I was very confused about my orientation because I never felt sexual attraction. So when everybody's like, oh my God, I want to sleep with XX and, you know, do horrible, nasty things with them, I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Is that like an extra step to friendship? What's going on here? And so
Yeah.
it made it very confusing, especially considering I'm biromantic, because I knew I wanted to be in relationships with any other gender, but just not get into bed with them. So it was confusing.
Well, I can only imagine how difficult that might be, especially in an industry like streaming or VTubing, when a lot of the content you see is either sexualized or hypersexualized. Because if you see like a lot of outfits, especially a lot of people wear, I mean, it kind of goes back to the age-old saying of sex sells.
Right.
And so, in your experience of branding and trying to grow your thing, I imagine it can be, difficult because you're being authentic to yourself and you're trying to make sure you don't go back on who you are. So I can only imagine the difficulty that must be.
Yeah, when I was coming up with my design, I was like, I don't want to have super cleavage, which is why I have the little undershirt underneath
Super
my
cleavage.
lapels. And I don't want to have well, you look at Cinder, who's basically like half tits, right? I knew I didn't want that, so I was like, I want a moderate sized chest. I want to make sure that I'm moderately covered up, so people aren't like, "Oh my God, you're so sexy," and I'll be like, "Okay, I don't really know what that means. It makes me moderately uncomfortable, so we're just gonna move on." So I wanted to make sure I didn't accidentally sexualize myself in terms of design. So that was something I made sure to consider when drawing the base idea.
So do you think that can be just it adds a little more pressure for you when you're trying to, when you like with a design, for instance, do you think that adds a little bit extra pressure to you because again, you want to be your most authentic self so people see who you are, you for you? So
I think in some consent, like in some sense, because obvious, like you said, sex sells, right?
yes.
So if I really wanted to try to get attention, the obvious answer would be like, okay, I'll wear a bikini or something. And I didn't feel comfortable with that because I didn't want to attract that kind of audience.
Of course, because like when I think about it, the one that comes to mind for me is someone like Shy Lily. Where she had a video, like she had a stream where her chest, she had a slider to adjust that.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Well, very comical, it does put into perspective a little bit on how, like, there's a lot of VTubers who I see, especially on Twitter, because Twitter. I'm sorry, I won't call it X for people out there. It's not X. It won't be X. This is Twitter.
I don't call it X either. It's okay.
So, but on Twitter, especially, it's really a big hub, like a social media hub for VTubers and advertising. And so you see all of that, and just when I scroll Twitter, because I try and make it a point to scroll Twitter and make like 2 posts a day, if I can, or make comments just so I can show I can support people. But at the same time, when you scroll through a feed, chances are you're going to see people who are either posting that hypersexualized content or people who are just, posting just hypersexualized content. And so it kind of is a little sad when you see that's when a lot of the dominant things, and especially you know, a lot of female VTubers as well. It's, I feel like it, do you think that it could hurt a little bit of those who don't want to pursue into that category? Or like with designs or something like that? Or is it just a case by case basis, as we've mentioned before?
You know, I know for me in particular, I'm always more interested in people who aren't just trying to use sex to sell, right?
Of course.
So I feel like for me, I kind of stand out, but I feel like I don't necessarily stand out because of my well, okay, let me think about that a little bit better. I stand out both because I'm a giraffe, and that's not as common, and I also stand out because I'm not like super cleavage. So I feel like it's a good little middle ground for me.
Uh-huh.
But I don't necessarily know if that is how it will be for everybody. I don't really know.
I think I'll read this comment that Raikou is saying. It's interesting because it becomes an expectation. I've had to explain that certain things are sexual to Miri to stop people from trying to sexualize her, but there's also a market for both, so more power to those that choose to do either or. You know, that is a very good point to bring up, because I guess at a certain point, we as a society become a little conditioned where we stop and we don't really think about, you know, could this be seen as sexualized or could it not? You know, for instance, if you like take a look at a lot of modeling and designs, how things are shown to the general public, you're kind of thinking, oh, that two-piece bikini, you know, that's just a normal bikini. But you look at the picture itself, chances are it has somebody who's, you know, more conventionally attractive, has more accentuated body features that aren't exactly more common, because most likely the common person does not look in the traditionally advertised way of something that is hypersexualized.
Right.
And so,
and the other thing too about Raiku's comment in particular is because I identify as asexual, is that there's a lot of things that I did or have done that I didn't realize was connected to some sort of like fetishizing thing or something of that aspect, because I didn't connect the dots that it was supposed to be sexually charged. So like it gets really confusing for me because I miss out on some context cues as a result of that as well.
Yeah, and I guess that falls not just on the streamer that a lot of people think about, but it also falls on the people who are observing that media, really. Because to expect the streamer to be the sole responsibility of that would be fairly irresponsible. Because I took a, you know, I've talked about this before. I am a university student. You know, this vampire bat, guess what, needs an education. So, but some of the classes, like I was taking a communications class, I talked about how media has changed and the influences it has on people. Do I still have that book? I don't think I do, but it's a really good book called Mass Media in Society. It's a very good book that talks about how, you know, media changes to suit the times and how it changes based on cultural perception of societal norms and what is acceptable. And so it's exactly what you're talking about with that context, you know, where there's so many things that if somebody doesn't know the context of it because it suddenly became a new thing, well, to blame the individual who just suddenly realized it would be fairly ignorant, you know?
Yeah.
Because like there was a phrase that I learned like a couple months ago where I was playing Team Fortress 2, and there was a phrase that I thought was just a funny word, and turns out the word is actually has sexual connotations to it, and I didn't realize that. I thought it was just a funny like onomatopoeia sound, you know, like bang, zoom, whiz, something like that. And I thought it was just one of those, and so I said that, and because I thought it had like an onomatopoeia sound, or just like I thought it meant like a verb. And it turns out it had a more sexual connotation to it, which I had no idea. So I'm left there feeling like embarrassed because I didn't know. But
yeah, exactly.
So once I got educated on it, it's just like, you know, people really do change meanings of and just situations and context of things. And so it's super interesting that you bring that up. So yeah. Now, if I may, what is something that we can learn about asexuality to help normalize it, that the average person may not think about? Because, for instance, for me, I'm fairly ignorant because I try and be inclusive and knowledgeable, especially with the LGBTQAIP community, and those of differing communities. I want to know more. So for someone like me, how can I help normalize asexuality?
So the thing that I think is most important in terms of asexuality is that I feel kind of more unlike most of the sexualities is that it is a broader spectrum, because you have some people who are straight up like grossed out by sex in
Mm-hmm.
the asexuality spectrum, and then you also have people who are sex favorable or sex positive who still want to have sex and do everything normally. um so it's kind of hard, where you have to be more aware that if you say, oh, somebody's just asexual because they don't want to have sex, because that's kind of insulting to the people who are more sex favorable or sex positive. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to kind of, every person's going to have a different answer for where they land on that spectrum, and it's just kind of being inclusive and not assuming, oh, this person identifies as asexual because they don't feel sexual attraction, they must hate sex, when that might not be the case.
Oh, I believe that's a fallacy. Like, there's a logical fallacy. Because X, that must mean Y.
Mm-hmm.
So from what it sounds like, based on what you're saying, is keep an open mind and don't assume.
Yes.
Because everybody is different, and the thing is, that's something I think is super interesting, especially with a lot of the titles in the LGBTQAIP community. I want to make sure I get that. That's really important. That I think is really important and cool, is how much they're not strict definitions. Instead, they're more umbrella terms to help.
Yes.
To help guide people to say, well, if this is what you're feeling, stand under this one and see where you are, because everybody's different.
Exactly.
Because and people think, oh, it's that kind of community against someone who is is traditionally straight, when in reality, somebody who is straight is also falls on some sort of spectrum within that. And so I feel like if more people were to understand that there's much more common ground between that, I feel like more people wouldn't follow under those assumptions of, yes, asexual, therefore you hate sex.
Yep, exactly.
Instead, it's, I'm asexual, therefore to me, it's, I don't feel sexual attraction.
Yep,
But,
exactly.
but you don't hate nor demonize sex. That's just for you personally.
Yep.
So that is super enlightening. So thank you for sharing and for educating. I really appreciate that. Certainly.
Yeah, of course.
Certainly I learned a lot about that. So, but yeah, why don't we do one more topic, and then we'll end this show. So, again, I'm looking at your goals because I love talking about goals. Sumo art.
I tried to find it, party. I couldn't find it, so we don't worry about that.
So, for your goals, and do you mind if I read these out?
Go ahead, have fun.
So, you have your streaming, your personal, and your additional content. So your streaming goals, you want to become a Twitch partner. You talked about that before. You say you want to have over 1,000 followers. That way you can get to that Twitch partner. You want to consistently stream for 6 hours. That is, I commend you on that, because the longest I streamed was, I think, 4 hours, and I felt drained after that. So
yeah, so I did the 10-hour long streams after my debut-a-thon,
Mhm.
And I realized 6 hours isn't so bad. So I've been streaming for 6 hours since I finished the debut-a-thon, because 10 hours, holy shit, I was worn out after 10 hours.
Well, I've come to the realization that if you're having a good time on stream, then that time will fly by. Because when I played TF2 a couple weeks ago, I was having so much fun, and I think it was the best I'd ever done in TF2. And so as I'm doing this, time was just going by so quickly, where I was just kind of going from one match to another, and I look at my clock, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to hit the 4-hour mark. I've gone way over the time I normally set. So that kind of doubles back to what you're talking about of when we're talking about variety streamers, is just, if you're streaming what you want and, taking that time, that stream will happen. With 10-hour streams, we might get a rare chance to see Grumpy Miri.
Yeah, I was grumpy at the end of one of the nights. I apologize for it, even though Eagle was like, I didn't think you were too bad, but I felt bad, and that's what matters.
Well, hopefully we don't see Grumpy Miri here.
No, you won't.
So, but moving down, get multiple outfits and hairstyles. Is there an outfit, or a hairstyle that you would love to see? Like for me, I'd love to have an outfit for each season, because
that would be cool.
Since we're going to the fall, for my model currently, I'm wearing an overshirt with normal undershirt, and I'm wearing some like cargo shorts with a pair of like dad Dockers, because that's a very summer outfit for me. And so, do you have any ideas of like maybe a future outfit or a hairstyle that you'd like to have?
I drew a spring outfit
Oh,
back a while ago. I need to actually finish it. I lined it and I colored it, but I haven't shaded it. So I have that sitting in the background for someday maybe. And then I also have been daydreaming of like a magical girl outfit because I love magical girls.
I was going to say, looking at your where was it? Your favorite interests. You said your favorite anime was Madoka Magica.
Yes.
So, because I don't know anything about that series other than some magical girl anime.
It's a very dark magical girl anime, and I highly recommend it. It's not very long. It's like, I think 12 episodes max, and there's a couple movies, but it's very dark. It's very good. I recommend it.
Oh, I see. See, it is when I think of magical girl, would Sailor Moon fall under that category?
Yes.
That was a very fast yes.
Yes. Well, that's like the first big magical girl anime, and then you got like Magical Girl Utena, I think is what it was called, and then Tokyo Mew Mew, and then you get a lot more after the blow up that was Sailor Moon.
Oh yeah. There was one that I saw like when I was in when I was first getting into anime. It was one called AKB0048, and it was like, so there's a big idol group in Japan called AKB48, and it is a nutty anime about these intergalactic planets that are part of a federation, and they've banned like idol performances.
Oh my gosh.
And so this group AKB0048 formed as sort of a resurgence of the group AKB48, and so it's just these girls who are auditioning and joining the group to perform underground guerrilla idol performances, where all of a sudden the intergalactic government will come in with the military and try to stop these performances. And so all of a sudden you just see like one of the lead idols just hop on a floating platform, and her wrist turns into like a beam cannon, and she's shooting these mech suits.
What?
And so it's just it is just incredible. Like it is one of the most chaotic but like original ideas of an anime I've seen in my life.
That's hilarious.
So I'd highly recommend that one just because of how absurdly great it is. But yeah, moving down to personal, your 5-year goals, you want to write a total of 5 manuscripts.
Yeah, I've got 2 completed right now, so that means 3 more. I just need to get back to writing again.
And then you want to be in better shape, me too. You want to publish a novel and understand Japanese. But the one that catches my eye that I think will be the last thing we shortly discuss was you want to voice act in a video game.
Yeah, I've always wanted to voice act. Like, it's been my biggest dream, and I mean, in a way, VTubing is kind of like voice acting, especially because I read off all the things that aren't voiced when I play games. But like, having other people listen to my voice would be really, really cool.
So then, is there a game that you'd love to Um, is there a game that you'd love to maybe voice act in? Because like for me,
That would have me.
What was it?
For me, that would have me.
For me, that would have me.
Any that would have me.
Oh, any. Sorry, like I said, I have the music blasting in my ear that I can't turn down. So pardon me on that. But that would be
okay.
That'd be super fun. Like I'd love to voice act in any, like if they decide to make more Metal Gear Solid games. You know, that'd be a dream. So, you know, but clearly it looks like you're well on the path to developing those skills, and I have no doubt that you will do that in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, we're about to hit the 2-hour mark in roughly 2 minutes. So is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything everybody should know, you know, or just me or you or whomever should know before we end this?
I would like to say thank you all for watching. My name's Miridae the Giraffe, and I had a lot of fun being here, and I appreciate you having me on.
I thank you for expressing interest, and I thank you for coming on. Again, Miridae the Giraffe. She's currently on Twitch, and are you still doing your debut-a-thon?
No, I finished that.
Oh, you finished that
twice, because the 10-hour days were getting to me so much.
Well, either way, what is the next stream you will be having?
Monday. I haven't figured out what game I'm playing yet, but I think.
Well, if you guys are interested in seeing more content, she is at Miridae the Giraffe on Twitch. I believe she's also on Twitter. There's some other social medias which I will link that are currently in the VODs, the TV show's Discord. So if you want to do that, I will leave a link in the chat, which I always forget to do. Goodness. But yeah, I will. Where is that? If you guys are interested, stop by the Discord, and there's going to be fun advertisements for that, just for Miridae. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you. 1, your stream on Monday, but 2, maybe hopefully seeing you again on the show in the future, and we'll see some updates in progress.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, well, have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.
Wonderful. Well, pardon me. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're still ironing out the kinks. We're still trying to figure out, you know, how we're going to do this for the show, but clearly this show is doing everything right in terms of we're meeting new people, we're having fun, and we're just making it work. And I love that. You know, I've already met so many cool people, and I've learned so much. I feel educated. It makes me feel like everything is coming together. But it couldn't be done without you guys, the audience. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Eagle, for the follow. I really appreciate that. I thank you so much for that. Again, none of this could be possible without you guys. And I'm just so happy I get to meet so many wonderful people. So tomorrow we shall have our next guest. His name is Joey D. King, and he is going to be wonderful. So thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. for another episode of the VOD. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful night, and bye-bye.